Celtics Now, our Celtics and NBA show for NESN.com. I'm your host, Rachel Holt, and I'm joined now by Darren Hartwell. Darren, we have a fun show ahead because the Celtics, they're looking really, really good.
Yeah, no, it's been a pretty good stretch and some exciting games too. We'll talk about that.
Absolutely. So on Monday night, the C's took care of business against the Bulls. At one point, they had a season-high 37-point lead. They won 105-89. The team dealing with a few injuries, so they actually had to make some changes in the lineup. Shane Larkin filled in with the first five, his first start for the Celtics. He finished with 9 points. Jaylen Brown led with 21 points. Maybe most importantly, Marcus Smart did this, showing off some Jackie Chan-like moves. I mean, Darren, what stood out to you the most about this game?
Well, obviously, it's Marcus Smart's, ninja moves out there. But yeah, I think the biggest thing overall is just them taking care of business without Kyrie. They've struggled in the past without him. Actually, earlier in the season, they got blown out by the Bulls without Kyrie. And then this time around, they got out of the gate strong, just kind of put the game away. A team like that, once you get out ahead early, they're just going to fold. So just taking care of business.
Well, they did what they were supposed to do. On Saturday, they played the Houston Rockets in what felt like an NBA playoff-type game. Now, Houston owns the NBA's best record, so obviously, unlike the rebuilding Bulls, they're a better indication of how the C's will do against a playoff-caliber team. What was your biggest takeaway from their game against Houston?
Yeah, first of all, like you mentioned, I would not hate seeing this NBA Finals matchup.
No, I don't think any of us would.
Yeah, it was an awesome game, entertaining down to the end. I think the Celtics got a little bit sloppy down the end, down the stretch. There were some key turnovers, and Kyrie Irving actually making some free throws, which was an issue, which we'll get into a little bit more. I think other than that, Al Horford looked a little, what was a bit of a non-factor. He kind of had a quiet game. Marcus Morris stepped up. We'll talk about him more later too. So I think, overall a great game. I think they need to find that balance in the scoring a little bit, but they proved that they can play with the best team in the NBA right now, which is the Rockets.
Well, as you mentioned, Kyrie Irving was tasked with having to intentionally miss free throws down the stretch. He wasn't able to get it done, so on Monday he sat out with left knee soreness. And Brad Stevens made a joke that he was benched. On a serious note, though, does this injury concern you at all?
I actually do think it's concerning for me, especially since it's the knee. This is the same knee that he fractured his kneecap in 2015, had to get surgery on it, and he's had injury issues since then. It kind of cropped up. There were some issues in the offseason regarding his knee, so I think the Celtics should just exercise some caution going forward. Obviously, they did, sitting him out against the Bulls. Especially if they have Terry Rozier can come in and Shane Larkin come in and at least be serviceable. I think it benefits the Celtics to kind of proceed with caution.
Well, obviously, we love it when Kyrie is in the lineup. The move has worked out very well for both the Celtics and Kyrie. So this is pretty cool. On Sunday at the Oscars, one of the actors who worked with Kyrie on the set of Uncle Drew revealed how excited Irving was when he heard about the trade.
But then the dopest moment was when the trade actually went through. He was so happy, man. We was in the middle of a scene. We was shooting a scene. His homeboy come in, whisper in his ear, and he just runs out the scene. We filming. He just runs out he was in the club shooting the scene. He runs out, so happy. He comes back and everybody's applauding. And it was a dancing scene, so that when you see the movie, him like really getting it.
That's him in real life.
That's him in real life. He was really happy.
Now, I don't know about you, but I want to see those dance moves now, knowing how excited he was in that moment.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty awesome, knowing that this is the reaction he has when he finds out he's not playing with LeBron James anymore. Yeah.
Well, the movie is in theaters June 29th, so we look forward to that. Speaking of the Oscars, though, Kyrie wasn't the only basketball player being mentioned on the red carpet. Of course, Kobe Bryant won an Oscar for his contributions to the animated short, Dear Basketball. Not bad, even when he's stacked up against Leonardo DiCaprio. See, they both have the same number of Oscars at this point. Here's some reactions from the sports community. They were loving this. Paul Pierce, once a heated rival on the court, Magic Johnson, even Shaq giving props to Kobe. I'm loving it.
Oh, yeah, and, Shaq, his own film career, a little less established, starred in Kazam, which somehow didn't win an Oscar, so Kobe has a leg up on Shaq.
I love how Shaq admits too. He's like, "I'm jealous, LOL," but don't LOL. I mean, he's being serious.
Oh yeah,
He's very jealous.
There's a little bit of passive aggressiveness.
The rivalry continues. Yeah. So as Kobe is becoming a star in Hollywood, some young Celtics players are becoming stars on the court. Marcus Morris had a season-high 5 threes and scored 21 points on Saturday in that game against the Rockets. 11 of those points, most importantly, came in the fourth quarter. So good stuff from him. Greg Monroe added 18 points off the bench. In fact, against Houston, Boston's bench combined to score a season-high 67 points. So, Darren, who has impressed you the most as of late?
Well, this is an easy answer since you just mentioned it, but I'm going to go with Morris. I think, he was pretty quiet against the Bulls the other night, but we mentioned earlier in the season that he kind of needed to step up as a scorer, and he's done that, in his 3 games prior to that game against the Bulls. He was shooting 53% from the floor, and when he shoots well, he kind of stretches the floor a little bit. You saw against the Rockets, and other big defenders have to go out and guard him, and that kind of opens up the middle a little bit. So that's why you see a guy like Greg Monroe, he can go to work on the post. So I think Morris playing well really opens up that whole offense. So I think they need him to continue to play well.
Well, an established star that we would like to see back on the court, Gordon Hayward, of course. We got a glimpse of what the rehab process has been like for him. Take a look.
1, 2, 3. Quick. Cross, between, up. 4. We haven't pushed it that hard in a while. Just ramping up again. You got a lot of ball handling, a lot of shooting. We just got to keep building it up.
So Gordon Hayward looking good, the Celtics young players looking good, and hey, if the Celtics want to catch Toronto in the East, they're going to need all the scoring help that they can get at this point. The Raptors look real good. They're 9-1 in the past 10 games. Meanwhile, the Celtics, they're 6-4 in the same stretch. The C's currently sit 1.5 games back. The two teams hold a comfortable lead, though, over the Cavs, who are 8.5 games back, and not helping Cleveland at this point is the fact that J.R. Smith is throwing soup at assistant coaches. I don't mean to laugh, but social media had an absolute field day with this. This is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, and I think one debate that we saw was, what kind of soup is he throwing? If it's a chowder, it's going to be a big mess and everything. If maybe it's
it really
more,
does factor in.
Yeah, it does. All sorts of questions. We can only go with what we know right now, but still hilarious.
Well, he actually said he didn't remember what kind of soup it was, so. For now, we do not know. What really won't help the Cavs, in addition to the soup throwing, is if LeBron leaves the team to go to the 76ers. Now, Joel Embiid posting this on Twitter, trying to recruit the big man to Philadelphia. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and this is after the billboards that went up in Cleveland trying to recruit him to Philly. I love this. I love the off-season drama that's starting in season. There's a chance he goes to, Philly is on the radar, I guess, but, you can't really read too much into this stuff. LeBron's going to do what LeBron's going to do. But I respect Joel Embiid, who has a great social media game, so he's got to shoot a shot,
Oh, NBA Twitter is by far the best Twitter there is. And speaking of Twitter, actually, thank you, Darren, for leading me into this. Head over to Nesson to answer a Twitter poll that we just posted. Which team is a bigger playoff threat to the Celtics run to the finals, the Cavaliers or the Raptors? So go ahead and answer that. We're actually getting some good traffic on that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating debate. Right now, I would say on paper it's the Raptors. The Raptors are a much better team, but I think my actual answer is I would rather play the Raptors over the Cavs. I just think the LeBron James factor in the postseason just adds a whole new dynamic. I think it's very close, though. Either team, I think it's going to be a very tough playoff matchup, whoever they
I think that's fair. So head over to our Twitter, @Nesson is the handle. Up next, the Celtics finish up their road trip on Thursday against the Timberwolves. Boston plays Toronto at the end of the month, March 31st, and again on April 4th. So circle that in your calendars. What's going to be the key for the Celtics during the stretch?
Yeah, I actually think between now and then is probably their toughest stretch of the season. They only play 4 home games in the entire month of March.
Wow.
And then coming up right now, 6 of their next 7 games are against playoff opponents. So to me, I think the biggest thing is going to be A, getting healthy, getting Kyrie back, and then B, off of that, developing kind of a chemistry with this final group that's set right now with Monroe in, figuring out the rotations, getting everything really locked in, and then, taking care of business when they do play the bad teams. I have confidence that they, can still play at a high level, But I think this stretch is really going to define whether they can match up against the elite teams going into the playoffs.
Well, hey, we liked what they did against the Bulls, a bad team you could say, and what they did against the Rockets, a good team, so should be an exciting stretch.
Yep.
Okay, so that will do it for this show. Thanks for tuning in. Obviously, very exciting watching the Celtics, and hopefully that continues all throughout the month. Make sure you follow us on social media at Nesson, at Darren_Hartwell, and at It's Rachel Hull. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again next time.